Good morning, good afternoon, good evening everyone. Welcome back to Benton Road, and today I will be showing you how to build a model railway under £50. This is episode 1, so let's get started. I am using 9mm ply for the baseboards. They're two separate boards, as you can see here, to make it easier for moving or taking to exhibitions. Modelers use a variety of boards. You can use chipboard, OBS, plywood, or MDF. MDF produces a lot of dust when you're cutting it, so you need to wear a face mask, otherwise it can damage your lungs. Make sure you get the really fine chipboard, not the really thick stuff, which has a coarse surface, because that will make your track plan really lumpy and you'll be rather uneven. As I said, I'm using 9mm ply. I got this for free. It's relatively cheap if you get it brand new, but you'll definitely need a baseboard if you want to put scenery on. So the next part you will need on your model railway is a track plan. Now, I've already pre-designed this on SCARM, which is computer-aided model railway CAD, which you can just play around with track plan, stuff like that. So I've come up with this track design. It's relatively simple, and the track cost me under £15. The points were £4 each, and the track I got for pence, or I already had. But this track plan is kind of based off a heritage line, maybe a small heritage line, where you've got a locomotive depot, which will be up here for servicing. You can drop coal wagons off here, and then you've either got a siding here or that siding for a platform. I think I'm going to be using this siding for a platform, but most of the buildings on this railway will be from my printable kit design. Another crucial part of when you're planning model railway is knowing what you want to run. I've selected a variety of different locomotives as it's a heritage line. I'm not too fussed about the liveries, because most heritage lines have most pre-grouping liveries such as LNER, GWR, SR and LMS. So this is my first locomotive I'm going to be running. This is an Airfix Large Prairie. It's a very, very beautiful locomotive. This cost me 20 quid. But I'm not going to be including locomotive prices in when you're building a model railway. This is just purely for the cost of what materials and baseboard. So far the baseboard has cost me nothing, and the track has cost me £15, so we can minus that off the £50, so we've got £35 left. But I've selected this locomotive along with some others, which I'll show you in a minute. But it's a rather beautiful model. It's got a lot of detail in it for its age, and it's got NEM couplings. The next model is a very old mainline railways locomotive. This was produced almost 30 years ago. It's a very, very beautiful warship. Its name is Hermes Warship Glass. Not entirely sure what the warship glass bit means, but I do know that the name is Hermes. This is a very, very beautiful runner. It's got directional lighting. You tend to see these a lot around the western areas, especially on Didcot Railway and other such heritage railways. But they were quite a common sight back in the 60s, and they're very, very beautiful locomotives in my opinion. We're also going to be talking about what stock we want to run, and I've also selected a few bits of stock as well. So the first up is this Lima Mark 1 Intercity coach. I picked this up for a £5 at my local model railway exhibition at Tinkers Park. It's an absolutely stunning model. It's got a lot of detail in it and a lot of printed details, which I really do like. Metal wheels, freewheeling, no trouble at all on track, doesn't derail, but they're great coaches for beginners, so definitely worth getting some. You can also get them in SR colour schemes and BR maroon. Unfortunately I haven't got any with me, but they're great, as I said, for beginners when you're starting in the model railway industry. I've also selected some luggage vans and parcel vans. I've got two here. This is Intercity Motor Rail, and this is another Intercity Motor Rail one. Two different colour schemes, but they look great together on the railway. £5 each, but as I was saying about the Mark 1, they're great for beginners, and you get them relatively cheaply. Freewheeling, metal couplings and metal wheels. A lot of detail on them and a lot of printed details, which is great, but they're definitely worth getting a few if you can get your hands on them. I will also be running some freight trains on this railway, mostly coal for delivering for locomotives and maybe for heritage goods operations and demonstrations. But I haven't really thought about what stock I want to run yet, but I will show that in a later video, probably in part 2. But for the time being, that's the stock I've selected, or some of the stock, sorry, that I've selected to run on this railway. So now we're going to look at planning where your buildings want to go. So these are some of the buildings that I've selected. One of them is my printable kits, which is this Railwayman's cottage right here. I will be using my Railwayman's hut and the platform for my platform and small goods depot office. But the rest of the stuff I've got for £1 or less. I think all of this, well, I got that, I got the signal box for free. But the rest of the buildings I got for £4 from Plastic Rail, so that brings us up to £19, so we've got £31 left. But my printable kit is £1, so that can actually bring us up to a £5. So we've spent £20 already on the railway, but we might not use all of these buildings, so we might just deduct the cost. But these buildings are really great, especially for beginners. Again, if they're pre-built. My printable kit is really easy to put together. The signal box, I believe, is an old Airfix kit, which is now reproduced by Dapol. And that's the station building here, which I'll be using as either workman's house, or just general houses, is from Hornby. So let's position them on the railway and see what they look like. So I've placed the buildings where I'd like them to go. I've got the little machine shop just here, which I've decided to put between the 2 tracks. The platform will be running along this siding, as I decided any spare locomotives that are on duty will be put in here, or they'll be recoaled in the siding here. I've put the signal box there, so it's got a view of all the points, and I've put the Railwayman's cottage there, as it's got a great view of locomotives coming into the station, and I've got a bit of empty space there for a large garden and a small driveway. The locomotive servicing depot for steam is just up here. We've also got a small yard just here full of small accessories that I've 3D printed. I'll include those down in the description for you guys to print off yourself. I'll include the CAD files. They're free, so that just doesn't subtract anything off the cost. I decided not to use the Hornby station building as a small house or something rather like that. So that job lot of buildings though still cost me £4, so we're still going to include that in the cost, which I still think is quite good. But we've also got a small goods shed just there, so any goods or stuff like that can be stored in there. So this is what the overall layout's going to look like. So hopefully you guys have enjoyed planning and talking about baseboards. Next week we'll be hammering down track and painting the baseboards. So stay tuned and please subscribe to catch more videos, and please do like this video, as it really does show your support. So thank you for watching, and I'll see you in part 2.